Hey, it's Yayforyarn, and today I'm going to show you how to crochet a Twisted Earwarmer headband. So this is a very simple project. It's basically just a rectangle, and we're going to sew the ends together with a twist in them to make the headband have a twist at the top. And the first thing you'll need for this project is the free written pattern, which you can get by clicking the first link in the description box down below, and that will take you to the free written pattern. Or you can purchase a large print, ad-free, printable PDF version of the pattern by clicking the second link down in the description box below. So before you gather your supplies, you're going to need to choose what size that you're going to make, and you will notice that when you compare the list of measurements of the head circumference of the wearer versus the measurements of the finished size of the headband, you will notice quite a difference there because the finished headband is actually quite a bit smaller than the head circumference of the wearer. And this is because the fabric that we're going to be using as far as the stitch pattern is very stretchy, and we want it to stretch to fit over the head comfortably. But if it doesn't have any negative ease, or if it's not any smaller than the actual head, then it will slide off easier. So if you want to, make it a little bit looser or whatever, then you can do that by choosing a larger size or adjusting the size if you need to, because the stitch multiple is a multiple of 3 plus 1. So you can use any number that is divisible by 3 and then add 1 stitch to that number for your final stitch count if you want to make changes to the sizing. But once you know what size that you're going to be making, you can choose the yarn you're going to use to make sure that you have enough yarn. So this is a knit crate yarn that is worsted weight, and this one is of course hand dyed with a very lovely variegated colorway. And I have a size I or 5.5 millimeter crochet hook. And of course I have scissors, a yarn needle, and a measuring tape, as I would always normally have on hand for any project. So once you have measured the head circumference of the wearer, chosen a size, and collected your materials, now we can get started with the crochet. So this project begins with a row of foundation single crochet instead of a foundation chain. And normally I do also give instructions for the foundation chain version if you're not comfortable with the foundation single crochet. But in this particular scenario, there is no substituting the foundation single crochet for this project because the fabric that we are using, the stitch pattern, for the rest of the headband has a lot of stretch in it. And if we use a regular foundation chain to get started, then our headband will not have the kind of stretch in it that we need to equal the stretch that's in the rest of the fabric. And we want to make sure that it is a comfortable headband as well as being cute. So I do not recommend using a regular foundation chain in this project. So we're going to be using the foundation single crochet instead, which is a way of creating the foundation chain and the first row of single crochet at the same time. I have an entire video on this if you want to go check that out. But with this method, it gives a much stretchier, more pliable finished edge than you would ever be able to get with a normal foundation chain. So to begin, I'm going to chain 2. And then I am going to skip the first chain and foundation single crochet into the second chain on my hook. So I am going to insert my hook into that second chain, yarn over and pull up a loop. Then I'm going to yarn over, pull through 1 loop, and yarn over, pull through 2 loops. So that is the first foundation single crochet. And now we are going to move on to working all of the rest of them. And as we work the rest of these foundation single crochet, we're going to be working into the base of the previous stitch. So here's the top of the stitch, and as we kind of turn it over, you can see that there are 2 strands on the bottom of that same stitch, and it looks kind of like the top of a regular crochet stitch. So I've inserted my hook into the base of the previous stitch, which has a front strand and a back strand. I'm going to yarn over, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through 1 loop, that makes the chain part, yarn over, pull through 2 loops, which makes the single crochet. So again, I'm going to turn the work over so I can see the bottom edge and insert my hook into both strands of the base of the previous stitch that we just worked. Yarn over, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through one loop, yarn over, pull through two loops. Alright, so if you want more explanation on that, I have an entire video on the foundation stitches with a free printable cheat sheet, so go ahead and check that out if you haven't tried this stitch before. But I do not recommend substituting this in the pattern. It will not work well because look at how much stretch this has already, and it's only a few stitches long. But this method gives way more stretch to the edge, which is exactly what we need. So I'm going to continue working the foundation single crochet until I have enough stitches in my row for the size that I'm making. And I'm going to be making the adult small. So I need to work a total of 61 stitches for the entire row of foundation single crochet. So after that first one that we did, I need to work 60 more after the first stitch. So I'm going to keep going until I have the correct number of foundation single crochet for the size that I'm making. Alright, so now I have the correct number of stitches in my row of foundation single crochet for the size that I'm making. So that is the end of row 1. And now we're going to work row 2, which is basically what we're going to be repeating for most of this project. So I'm going to turn the work, and I'm going to begin my rows with what I like to call a chainless starting single crochet, which I also have an entire video explaining all of those types of stitches as well if you want to check that out too. But a chainless starting single crochet is a way of starting the row without a turning chain. And if you don't feel comfortable with this, you can just chain one, ignore the chain one and not count it as a stitch, and then single crochet in the same stitch that the chain is coming from. But I'm going to use the chainless starting single crochet because I prefer the look of the edge that we get when we use that stitch. So for the chainless starting single crochet, I'm going to stretch the loop on the hook and work a regular single crochet in the same stitch that the loop is coming from. And that gives not only the height that we need, but it also keeps the single crochet at the edge instead of having a turning chain there. So now that I have worked that chainless starting single crochet in the same stitch, I am also going to work 2 double crochet into that same stitch. So it's the chainless starting single crochet and 2 double crochet all in that very first stitch. And then we're going to be repeating a little sequence most of the way across the row. We're going to skip 2 and then work a single crochet and 2 double crochet all into that next stitch. Again, skip 2 stitches, work a single crochet and 2 double crochet all into that next stitch. And then again, skip 2 stitches, work a single crochet and 2 double crochets into the next stitch, and we're going to keep repeating that little sequence across until we have 3 stitches left in the row. Alright, so I've got 3 stitches left in my row, and I'm going to skip 2 stitches and work a single crochet into that last stitch. So that is the end of row 2, and you should have the same number of stitches that you had in row 1. So now we're just going to repeat row 2 until the headband is the width that we want it to be. So for the size that I'm making, which is the adult small, I'm going to repeat row 2 10 more times, not including the first time, which I just worked. But I'm going to work that same row 10 more times, and I'm just going to start on that real quick, just so that you can kind of see what it's going to look like. So again, I'm going to stretch the loop on my hook and work a chainless starting single crochet into that very same stitch, and then I'm going to add 2 more double crochets into that same stitch. And again, we're going to skip 2 and work a single crochet and 2 double crochets in the same stitch. Skip 2, work a single crochet and 2 double crochets into that same stitch, and you will notice that as we work through this stitch, The stitches that we are doing are always going to be worked into the top of a single crochet from the row below. We are always skipping the double crochets and working into the single crochets. So we're going to skip those 2 double crochet, work a single crochet and 2 double crochet into the top of that single crochet. And again, just as we did on the previous row, we're going to go all the way across till we have 3 stitches left in the row. Then we're going to skip 2 and work a single crochet in the top of the chainless starting single crochet from the row below. So I'm going to keep repeating row 2 until I have the correct number of rows for the size that I'm making, and then I will show you what we're going to do next. So here is my piece at this point. I have worked row 2 the correct number of times for the size that I'm making, and now we're going to work row 3, which is just a row of single crochet all the way across, and this will make this edge match the beginning edge with the row of foundation single crochet. So I'm going to turn my work, stretch the loop on the hook, and work a chainless starting single crochet into the same stitch. And then for this row, we're not skipping any stitches. We're just going to single crochet 1 time in each stitch all the way across until we get to the end of the row. Alright, so there's the top of that chainless starting single crochet from the row below, and we've single crocheted into that. So that is the end of the crochet part of this headband. I'm going to go ahead and leave a tail about 8 to 10 inches long, maybe closer to 12 is a good idea. And I'm going to go ahead and tie off. And the next step is to block the rectangle that we've got here. So because my yarn is a natural fiber, it's wool, I am going to wet block this rectangle. Now, if you are using an acrylic yarn, you may prefer to steam block, but regardless, just use the blocking method that fits the yarn that you're using as far as its fiber content. And if you're not familiar with blocking, I have an entire video on that as well on my channel. You can go ahead and check that out for more information. So I'm going to go ahead and block my panel, and then I will show you how to sew it together. Alright, so my rectangle is blocked now, and you can see that it is very smooth and flat. And if you look at the size of the rectangle, as I mentioned before, it is smaller in length than the actual head circumference of the person wearing it. And that is because it has a lot of stretch in it. So this is a very stretchy crochet stitch, and that is why the rectangle is quite a bit smaller. So now all that's left to do is sew the ends together. And to do this, I'm going to take the end, one end of the headband, and I'm just going to flip it over, like so. And as we kind of lay this out, it will take on the twist in the middle. So all I've done is flip the one end over, and we're going to now take the 2 ends and bring them together. Now, you don't have to twist it if you don't want to, but that is a very popular style with earwarmers right now. So I'm going to go ahead and twist mine. And then I'm going to take the longer yarn tail and thread it into my yarn needle. So I'm going to just start making whip stitches and stitching these 2 ends together. And the whip stitch is just kind of like an over and over stitch. We go through both edges, always going in the same direction with the needle. And I'm going to whip stitch these 2 ends together till I get all the way across. Alright, so I'm almost to the end, so I just want to kind of pull on my seam to make sure that it is laying flat and smooth. And then I'm going to take one last stitch that goes through the very last stitch from both edges, as far as it goes, you know, kind of in the top of each stitch. Then just kind of give the seam one more tug, and I'm going to make one more stitch through that same spot, wrap the yarn around the needle, and pull the needle through to make a knot. So now I can just weave in both of these yarn tails to finish up my headband. But it has a very nice, neat twist in the front. And one thing that you might notice is that because we worked with that foundation single crochet at the beginning edge, not only are both edges very stretchy, but it also looks very similar along that top edge to the top of the row of single crochet that we finished with. And this is a good thing because when we twist the headband, this right here is the foundation edge, and this right here is the top edge. So we've twisted it. So on one side of this top edge will be the foundation edge, and the other side is the top edge of the work. Yet down here, this is the foundation edge, and this right here is the top edge of the work. So that kind of helps make both of the edges match a little better because of the way that the foundation stitches look on the foundation edge. So I'm going to go ahead and weave in my tails, and then my headband is finished. So I hope you've enjoyed this video. If you liked it, please give it a thumbs up. If you make this project, let me know how it turns out for you in the comments below. And don't forget to subscribe, making sure you click the little bell next to the subscribe button to be notified of new videos. Thanks for watching.